What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're just gonna wait a couple minutes for some people to join. All right, we seem to have a few people pulling in, which is good. Yeah, we've obviously switched platforms, which is great. And yeah, this is the first one on X that we've kind of ironed out. We've done 2 iterations of this on Telegram, and we've had some good feedback on it. So the nice thing about X is that you can record and everyone can listen to it later. So basically, we want to make sure that this gets to as many people as possible throughout the week when you have a bit of time. So I'm really glad that we've kind of moved to Spaces. Yeah, we have a few guests today. If everyone didn't know, Alex is still alive. There he is. He's been really busy over the last 2 weeks, so we're glad to have him back. And we have the founders of Me AI, who's our next raise, as well as Jeff from Amplify, gonna join us for this roundtable and get into a bit of the nitty gritty. Do you guys want to just say what's up, and then we'll get started into some topics.
Hello! I heard this is the emotional support group for people who are dying because of Ethereum price. Is this the right place?
It may be the right place. I think so. David has joined us from Me AI. David, do you want to say what's up?
What's up, David? He muted, so no. He doesn't want to say hi to you.
Well, he unmuted, and then I'm not really sure what happened. We'll figure that out. And Jeff has joined as well. He's requested. I'm gonna add him on there. And yeah, we're glad to have you guys, some of the guys in here. I mean, what to start with? I think there's a whole bunch of things we can talk about.
Do you want me to start and it's gonna make you cry?
Let's do it, bro. You know what? We can start sad and then finish happy, if that makes sense.
I think it's important to be realistic. Okay, so something that's been going through my mind, something that I just read right before joining on here. Gainsey just posted that the 8% drop in ETH price in a Bitcoin halving year without it touching the previous all-time high, it's like a death sentence for 99.9% of any coin out there, right? Just from a macro perspective. And this elicited the response from Carbon that's, very eloquent from Based Carbon, where he just wrote, "Man, fuck." Which I think really sums up the state of Ethereum just from a purely speculative and price action kind of point of view. Oh, we have Anthony. Hello, Anthony. So this is something that's definitely, influencing my day to day, because obviously, like right now, we are multi-chain, but we are a lot of the infra is built on ETH. And this also begs the question, especially when we're talking about L2s, L1s, and things of this nature. We've seen cool stuff being built on chains that are pretty technologically advanced, right? And I'm, looking at the last 10 years, I'm not even talking about the state of it right now. But one thing that I wanted to kind of highlight, which I've been thinking about lately, is how much adoption, especially in bull markets, is truly driven by the speculative price action and nothing more. And with this in mind, what does the future of Ethereum look like, right? Because even Vitalik, I've quoted Vitalik on this when I saw him speak in London, Leaf, when we met up back in October of last year. Vitalik himself said that the uh, problem that he's seeing is so many people building on ETH with the Ethereum 1.0 mindset and not switching to the Ethereum 2.0 mindset. And the 2.0 mindset is, obviously past post merge. It is focused on rollups. It's focused on L2s. It's about getting mainnet uncongested and a lot of the functionality. You have ETH mainnet as the security layer, and then you have L2s that are essentially running everything. And it's actually really cool to have Anthony from Out of Zero here. On the 12th of August, they just launched their ZKOS EVM L2, which is, I like how the value accrual there works with their L1 Wasm chain. But, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but like so much value accrual is going to L2s right now. And I am really curious. Like, I don't have any thoughts on this. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I'm just basically, throwing a smoke grenade and getting out of the room. But like, what does the future of ETH look like? Like, it's like, yeah, it's number two and number one in TVL, number two in like almost anything else, market cap or FDV, whatever goddamn metric you want to use. But holy shit, it is not looking good.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting sentiment. Like the thing is that like you say, Ethereum is almost like it's like got a foothold in the market because of all these roll-ups and layer twos. I don't think it's gonna go away. I think the functionality of it is definitely gonna be more and more fragmented over the next few years. But in saying that, I mean they're earning significant fees from these layer twos. I think that's what's really interesting is like they are like as a protocol are actually earning very good revenues. I think their revenues were in the billions over the last few quarters, which is very impressive. But as far as people actually using the chain, um, we've seen a big shift to different layer twos, and other networks, and I think the actual when we talk about building on Ethereum, I think that's going to be a thing of the past in the future. I don't think that's going to be, I don't think it's going to get any better than it is now. And it's interesting. And yeah, thanks Alex for starting us off on such a happy note. Jeepers. I'm trying to slip my wrist now.
Hey
But
man, it's like when you're an alcoholic, the first step to recovery is admitting you're an alcoholic. And I think the first step in ETH recovery is admitting we have a goddamn problem here.
yeah, I think people need to look at it and say, it was really good for a long time, and it got us to where we are right now. But now technology needs to take over, and that's where different layer twos and different types of technology that can benefit from what ETH built as a fundamental layer is going to be interesting. I think I kind of look at ETH like a similar to like an omni chain base layer where everything built on top of it is going to thrive. Based on technical and different like use cases. But I do think that as like I said, as a chain itself, I really think that building off it is going to be building off the main layer is going to be as it won't get as much better as it is now. But yeah, it's very interesting. You've seen a lot of growth from Bitcoin over this year, and we've seen a lot of the demand from institutions, and just even since the ETH ETF went live, it's almost like it's got not nearly as much volume and not as much interest. I think people can't really see where the value is. And that's the issue. And why the alts have had 6 months of just downturn, and it's almost like a snowball effect on that.
Yeah, it's last thing before we put in this, so it's not just like ETH bitching for an hour. Um, but since Anthony is here, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is so A0 EVM is using like the value accrual still goes back to the A0 token, the coin, which is the L1 coin, right? Um, if I remember correctly, they're using the gelato relayer for the L2, which is allowing them to use A0, the EVM L0, to pay the L2 gas fees, right? So, like the value accrual model for the coin is very apparent if we're just looking from an infrastructural and gas centric point of view, and it very well may be that you're going to have more L2s going with this, relayer kind of model where you have their token used to pay gas and everything else is kind of happening behind, under the hood, which, begs the question again, like, does ETH as a gas token for the ETH mainnet, slash what Vitalik wrote yesterday, that he sees it as a store of value, which is kind of the narrative that we assumed with Bitcoin, because first we're like, it's digital cash, and we relied on digital cash, which is what Satoshi wrote in the white paper, for a few years, and then we're like, nope, it's too slow, it's too expensive, it's not digital cash. Okay, cool. What is it now? It's an inflation hedge. And then COVID happened, and it's very apparently not an inflation hedge. And right now we're at this, like, I feel like store of value is the narrative that big projects, big coins use when everything else is disproven, Like, it's not an inflation hedge, it's not digital cash, it's not peer-to-peer payment system, it's none of the above. All it is store of value, and that just kind of worries me. I wanna, have David from EAI give an intro, because I'm very happy to have him here. Very excited to be doing something with him in the near future. It's actually next week. Uh, Kind of just very high level overview. For anybody that's waiting for raises on AngelBlock, I know we've been busy crying about the market for the last month. And I just don't think hosting raises when people's portfolios are slashed 50% on a day by day basis is the best move, honestly. But it looks like we have a minimum of two raises coming in September and a minimum of two raises coming in October. And after a internal call today, there is a very high chance there might be three raises in September and three raises in October. So get ready for October. David, how's it going, man? Thank you for taking the time to join us. Okay, again, Leaf, you're me AI now. You need to answer all of David's questions.
Got it. Yeah, we'll get him on board, guys. Don't worry. I know enough. I think, hopefully.
Why
um,
isn't why isn't is Jeff a
maybe
speaker?
maybe yeah. Jeff is here.
But is he a speaker?
Yeah,
Because
he
I
is.
see Amplify.
He is. I added him as one, so it's all good. Yeah, we'll message David. Maybe join from a different profile, maybe, and then see if that works. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, leave
Oh,
leave
oh,
this
oh,
here. Maybe
David, this
just
is the problem. You can't join from your computer. You need to join from your phone.
you have to join from your phone. That's true.
There we go. That'll fix it all. In the meantime, yeah, I mean, we can talk about like the market sentiment and things like that. But the thing is that yeah, we took a bit of a strategic view of the market. You know, there's been a lot less interaction. People obviously going on holidays, and if anyone's been involved in looking at fundraising tiers and things like that, we've seen a big downturn in actual deal flow from VCs and those type of things. So I think people have kind of did the sell in May and walk away until the Q4 of this year maybe. So we've kind of had to shift our timeline a little bit, which is fine. You know, like we don't want to be doing raises when it's going to be hard to fill them. And I do think that the one thing that we've done at Angel Block is try and figure out what the capacity we have is for raising, and not just that, is the like quality startups, you know, like the startups that we have been chatting to over the last 2 months or so.
But
Some of
just
them
to
are going to be
interject,
game changers.
Leaf, just to interject, since this is a roundtable, I have the right to interject. But it's also like, I think it's a disservice to startups. Like, if you think that uh, market conditions are very volatile, I don't think it's fair uh, for a startup to always list. What I mean here is, you have someone who is trying to, like, the end user is trying to predict, like, okay, I have X amount of capital to invest, right? And if they lock up their capital in a SAFT, in a token purchase agreement, right? Whether it's a smart contract or anywhere else, and their net worth gets slashed by like 50, 60, 70%, then there's a red light that goes on in your head, and you're thinking, oh shit, maybe I need to, maybe the moment that this lists, I need to recoup some of my capital, right? Regardless of how good a startup is. And this is a very real mentality that I've seen in this space for years. And I just think that listing when the market sentiment is uncertain and you don't know how people are going to react, freezing some of their capital, um, I just think it's a disservice sometimes to a startup because it can hurt their launch. It can hurt how the TGE and the whatever the vesting um, is distributed. And I just think that it makes things that should be, you need all the help that you can get when you're releasing and deploying like this. And I just think that it causes unnecessary problems. So that's just my 2 cents to exactly. I agree with what you said, but I just think that there's an additional layer there where it's, hey, like, we want to solve problems as AngelBlock. We want to solve as many problems as possible, and we definitely don't want our hand in creating more. Like, we don't want startups or users to have an uphill battle in what their goals are.
Definitely, 100%. I think that's
Excuse
the
me,
one thing
guys.
we're trying to be as dynamic as possible. Hey, what's up, David? There we go.
let,
Yeah, it works.
Is it
let
working?
Yeah, let me check now. It's like always problems with those eggs. So sorry about that, guys. But finally, I managed to get it work with my personal account. So let me just drop a quick intro here. So I'm David, co-founder and technology director of MeAI. We are going to be doing the race soon on AngelBlock, and we are working on the lifestyle application connected directly with AI, of course. Let's see how it goes here. Thank you, guys.
Great, yeah, no, it's really great to have you on. And I know we've had a bunch of chats over the last few months, trying to iron out everything, and yeah. So I think one of the most interesting questions will be like, what started the whole idea of Me AI? And from what I understand, you guys were previously on another project. And how did that transition go? To get to the point where you are now.
Sure. So let's start from a little bit of history. So basically, I'm in the space for quite a long time. I remember, those first bull runs which were happening on Bitcoin, Ethereum, ICOs, stuff like that. But then, when there was a COVID, there was another like bull run, and we actually decided to create a project which was like entertainment token called Looney on Terra blockchain, and it was related to NFTs, metaverse, and things that were popular at that time. So we went through the whole experience of creating our own project. It was smaller at that time. We hit like market cap of 22 mils still, but it was a good learning curve. And we obviously would know what happened to Terra afterwards. So then we actually took the funds and we started thinking about creating new project. So it took us some time. It's about 1 year of research and development, and we found out that actually in Web3 space it's still missing. There are still some cool things missing, like having everything in one place, but focusing on your lifestyle, on progressing with your health, but in a gamified and a fun way. You have like tons of application in Web2, which are counting your steps, checking what you eat, but usually they are not that much connected to AI. They are in Web2 still, so they are not connected to any blockchains, and they do not usually provide that full gamified experience. And actually, that's the idea for me AI. To put it simple. So basically, you create your character in a game. It's kind of Tamagotchi, when you can evolve your character, and it will be changing over time based on the choices that you make in the app. And then you can focus on different things from your daily activities. Like you can scan your food with the AI recognition system and be rewarded. You can explore the world, like doing, for example, Pokemon Go. So you have some quests in the real world that, using augmented reality as well, you can go to certain locations, solve some puzzles, and be active this way. So we don't want to go with the boring stuff like counting steps. That was already done. We are going for a much more gamified and simplified experience for the users. So we want to onboard Web 2 and Web 3 users in the app. But on top of that, using our tier system, you can start from the very basics, like you can just, casually take pictures of your food. But you can also go higher than that. We will have like professional dietitians, and you can actually have everything within the app. And like I said, your character will be evolving based on your choices. So if you move a lot, and if you solve puzzles, if you're active mentally, if you're connecting socially with your friends, doing quests together, or even taking pictures of the food, that all of that will be reflected in the app in one place to go. That's like a quick brief.
Very cool, very cool. And I think, what's interesting, I was thinking, what happens when you're a 600 pound, one of those guys on that app? You would be a bit screwed if everything's on chain, So, I think it's a nice way to hold yourself accountable, in a fun way. I think that a lot of people, myself included, had a lot of fun when Pokemon Go came out. It was almost like you back in this whole childhood kind of environment where you actively walking to do what you would want to do in the first place. And the thing with this type of app is it like I said, holds you accountable. It creates fun around things that you were already doing, which is really cool. And I think one of the things that obviously some of the investors would like to understand is probably like the utility of the token. How does it work? Like where, I know that there's two different types of tokens. So you obviously have the internal and the external. How does that whole thing work, and where will people be able to kind of interact with the platform like that?
Sure, exactly. Like you said. So our experience, we are aiming to put it seamless. So basically, yes, you are not focusing on the statistics. I think it's boring in my opinion, and gamers don't care about that much. There are obviously some hardcore people that they would like to check it, and they will have that option as well in our app. But the primary goal is to have like a seamless experience. You just do something. All right, let's check the map. Like with Pokemon, we are just in the forest. Let's see, maybe we can find something cool here. So that was the idea. When it comes to the tokens, yes. So we have two different types of tokens. There's like internal one, which is used in the application, but not only. Actually, before the launch of the application, we are also distributing it on our different social media. Like on Discord, for example, we already have like quests, quizzes. People are posting what they eat, how they exercise. So we are also gathering, that information, so we know actually what to target, and we are engaging the communities. Soon we are also going to release our mini app, in which you can also get some internal tokens, and then those will be transferred to the main application, in which you can also get them from those various activities as well. So for taking pictures of what you eat, for eating what we are suggesting you, for instance, looking for those areas in the game which you can explore, all of those things will be rewarded in the internal tokens, and then those tokens can be also staked in the application, but they can also be exchanged at a certain rate to our main tradable token, which is MEAI. And that's the basic idea. There's also like a marketplace in the app when you can buy some boosters, some additional quests, so unlock different tiers, and that can be done depending on the rarity by the internal tokens or by the main ones. So that's the major idea behind it.
Yeah, very nice. And I think the thing is that people that we've spoken about this on the previous community calls as well, is especially the team at AngelBlock. We believe that the next phase of growth is going to be around consumer based apps. I think there's so many Web2 apps that are live at the moment that people need things to do in the day. Like, so a lot of the time they'll be at work, and then on the way home they'll be I don't know, playing Candy Crush or whatever they might be doing. A lot of the time everyone's on their phone for at least 6 to 8 hours. Depending on if you're in crypto or not. But it just depends on how much you're on your phone, which is a lot. And if you can garner people's attention for something interesting, it's definitely the way forward. I think what people need to understand is something like AI is not just it's not just AI. It's a gaming app. Like it's things to it's like almost like a mixture between the two. So that's what I think gives it a bit of an edge. I think that we've had a bit of trouble with regards to crypto gaming in the past. I think the fact that this is going to be an app on your phone, you're always going to be able to
Because they focus on crypto and not the gaming part a lot of times.
Exactly, yes.
Very true, very true.
So
like
yeah, I think
if you have a token but there's zero reason to be playing a game, like how that's gonna end. Sorry. I'll
No,
interject
you're right. You're
later.
right.
I'll
You're
be
hundred
good.
percent.
I'll be
Actually,
good.
I'm
I'll be
glad
good.
that you brought that up because like when we were at Token 2049 in 2022, there were about 100 gaming apps, like crypto gaming apps that only really focused on the crypto token itself and not necessarily around the design of the game and and garnering people's attention. You know, that's the attention economy with regards to gaming is what drives your game to its heights. You know, and I think like having something like this that's easy to understand and that's it fits into everyday life. It goes back to, like you say, about the Tomoguchi or even like a Pokemon Go, where you kind of build your character, you build your database of things to get better and better. You know, you always working on getting it to a point where you don't even know where you want to get to, but you know you want to get better. You know, and I think that's really interesting. It almost like gives you an infinite attention arm. You know, that you want to just make sure that it's as best as it can be. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. David, do you want to go into a little bit of detail around the team and um,
I
how long you
think
guys been
David
working
dropped off
together and that type of thing?
momentarily.
Pardon?
I think he dropped off.
Oh, he's
Oh no. Oh,
he's
he's not. He's listener. Not.
No, no, no.
no,
I'm
he's
still
speaking. He's
here.
here. He's here.
Can you hear me, guys?
I think
I can hear you.
Alex's space is bugging out.
I mean, I wouldn't be
No,
surprised. But I'll
it's
just
the X
interject.
in general.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, every time it's something fun. But just to what Leith said really quickly, because like obviously, we have these meetings where we discuss like, okay, who do we want to work with? Like we take, I don't know, like a handful of companies that we talk to, um, and Leith, something that you mentioned, I just really wanted to reiterate that because I really like that point, which is I do like I've been in this space for like it's year number 10 for me. Like I've done 9 years in this space at this point, and every year it seems like and VC say the same things. When there's a gold rush, you got to sell picks and shovels, and it's like yes, but we've been selling picks and shovels for a decade, right? And there has to come this point, like how much infrastructure is enough? Like I swear to God, like that's why I saw right before I joined the space, I saw the Bankless post about the monad ecosystem. And like I hope they do well. Like this is not me, this is not like a Schadenfreude moment where I'm, I hope they die or something like that. But by no means. Like I hope everybody succeeds in this space. But when I see someone saying that monad, the monad ecosystem is the Solana killer, I have 2018 PTSD flashbacks to when EOS was supposed to be the Ethereum killer, and people were saying that EOS, it spells out Ethereum on steroids. It's like, well, you should have kept taking those steroids because you're back to weighing 52 kilograms. So there has to come a moment, and I'm getting back to me AI with this. Like, I'm personally, my investment thesis for the last year has been dApps, usability. We have the infrastructure. Uh, we're not even asking for more, but more is still coming out. But like, goddamn, like, do stuff that people use. And that's why I like this lifestyle angle to this, because what were some of the main criticisms of crypto, right? Crypto has always been, oh yeah, but it's like, all of DeFi is a lending protocol and not much more. And then, but okay, cool. Like if that is your main gripe with either DeFi or crypto or things like that, then actually use blockchain, use this tech to do other cool shit. And I think that we're at this point now where people are kind of, the pendulum is swinging, and people are starting to realize that, yeah, maybe I don't want 50 different infrastructure coins and tokens. Maybe I actually want to use a dApp. Maybe I want to be part of a different ecosystem. And I think slowly but surely that's happening. But personally, I'm excited about investing in dApps going forward, because I just think that things have to change. And goddamn, like, do we really need VCs pumping another 300 mil into infrastructure that might not even be around in 2, 3, 4 years? I said my piece. I'm gonna mute again so I don't
No,
monopolize.
no,
That's very true.
it's very true. And the thing is that who did I speak to about this? It actually might have been Anthony. But basically I was Anthony and Alex together. I think we basically spoke about what has crypto done to better the world right now. You know, it actually hasn't really done much to make the world a better place or to help different things. It's really just like shifted a lot of the other issues that have been happening, and there's still a lot of friction within the space, you know. So the consumer facing side of crypto is the side of it's the side of crypto that's going to change the perception, you know. I think we had it with Web 1, where Web 1 was really just information, you know. When it got to things like social media and actual use cases that people saw, okay, well, I have college, and then now I can put it online. That is something that we need to see more of a transition of. You know, I think we've seen it now with what Me AI are building. I think as well, the LS0 team just released an app with Fame MMA that is an account abstraction app where you don't actually know you're on you don't actually know you're on a crypto layer, and those are the type of things that need to happen, because majority of the time people focus on the wrong things. People focus on infrastructure, people focus on something being the coolest technically, but ultimately it really only depends on how easy the user experience is, how good the user interface is, and that's where I think definitely going through the MIAI documents, I really like the way that they've approached this. So it's very nice to look at. You know, it's easy to use. It's those are the type of things that are going to, like I said before, it's going to have an attention economy. You know, but yeah, sorry, David, do you want to just get into a little bit about the team, like how long you guys been working together, and where you guys are based, and then yeah, just general things that you're looking to do in the future. I think things like different milestones you guys are going to go after, and what number of users you want to get, and all those type of things.
Sure. So thank you. But before I go to that, let me just tell that I agree with you, Leaf and Alex, because I've been also, in this space for quite a long time, and I observed like countless of new infrastructure projects happening, releasing all the time, but basically covering the same stuff. So, but how many really those do you need in the space? Like you say, there are some major blockchains, and it's very difficult to, get into their space. Those killers, Ethereum killers, are heard so many times already. Solana killers as well. This is not the way to go, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, if you can convince some VCs and other investors that your product is the next one, but it's basically doing the same stuff that was done before, no, this is not the way to go. Although I like some infrastructure projects which are actually focusing now on AI part of it. So this is like a fresh touch, which we are also using in our project, like the image recognition, for instance, or video scanning, or even the generative AI, and also data processing. This is cool. So that can be used in Web3 and Web2 as well. And my point here is as well that I don't like, I was talking on different AMAs about that, but I don't like this, divider between Web 2 and Web 3, which is happening a lot. So, for example, those infra projects which you have, they are very difficult to be understood by like regular users. So, what is DApp? How to stake? What was that? They're like very focused on Web3 community. And what I saw is now like progressing also in gaming, especially in gaming, to be honest, is like the seamless, boundary between Web2 and Web3. I think if you want to be successful in this space, you need to think like that. So you need to be able to onboard as many users as possible, because obviously without users community, you can make the best apps, but nobody's going to use them. So what's the point? But you need to make it easier for them to understand, not necessarily even using, those fancy words, Web3, Web2, just give them the app and then explain them as they go. So you need to have like a level introduction level system in your app that everybody can actually use. So it cannot be too basic, in my opinion. That's how we design it, because then advanced users are going to get bored, but you should have this seamless experience from the very beginning. If somebody wants to get a wallet, all right, they can create a wallet later on. For the time being, they can just have points. That's also the purpose of having those internal tokens. So if somebody is not fully familiar with crypto, they just get points. At some point, they can get to the next stage if they want to be introduced to the exchange mechanism, how to exchange to AI, how to sell it on the market, but it is not required from day zero. So that's how we are aiming, especially in this market, like lifestyle market, right? So you need to be able to approach different people from food beverage industry, and when we are doing that on Instagram, those are not Web3 people. So if you want to convince them actually to be investors or to be partnerships with you, you need to give them something simple. And that's the idea about MIA, the casual experience in the beginning, and then as you progress, you evolve and you can actually use more advanced functions. But when it comes to the team, So yes, currently the co-founders are from Poland. So it's myself and Wojciech. We are from Poland, but our whole team is around 16 people at this moment, and many partners like developers which are also working with us and on the product, on the design, on various aspects. And the whole team basically is spread all around the world, like it's in crypto. But we established company in Dubai, and we operate with another co-founder primarily from Poland. And actually, majority of team is Polish. However, like I said, we have people from all around the world. So yes, we are now working, preparing for the launch. As you guys started the conversation with, which I was able to hear but couldn't respond, the Ethereum issues are still here. I mean, the market is still wobbling since March actually this year. So we want to also target the best time possible for that. And then what are the plans? So then we are planning to release MVP of our application, which will consist of the core module where when you can create your character, customize it, have a blockchain wallet, NFT marketplace inside, all this game mechanics, leveling system, like in RPG game, basically. And you will have one module, which is Me Diet for food scanning and beverage scanning, and which you can also follow the recommendations from us, or you can just casually play as you want, just scan whatever you want and get some points for that. So that's how we want to introduce users to the application. And then at the later stage, which is planned for the development for about 1 year more since the MVP is launched, we're going to be working on 3 additional modules, which is Me Explore, this exploration module similar to Pokemon Go, which I mentioned. There's going to be Me Social as well, which is like a connectivity within the application, so you can do some challenges with your friends. You can go, on the hunting in the forest with somebody else as well, or against the team. We are also thinking about, introducing the application at the later stage for the corporations, so they can do also team building events in a seamless experience. And the last one is Me Growth, where you basically, this is like still a little bit tricky. We are designing the last module as we speak, but overall it is about the application learning your behavior, checking all the other modules you are using and suggesting you ways to improve yourself mentally and when it comes to the work environment. So what are you good at? You can also talk to somebody who is you in the app, and actually maybe you're missing something, so maybe your virtual self can guide you towards the better choices in your life.
So
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
like the Dream Guardian in Baldur's Gate 3. They always got your back.
Yes, exactly, something
I
like
love
that.
it.
You
I
have it
love it.
covered, and you can talk to somebody if you want to feel lonely. You can talk to yourself, but maybe they gonna give you different perspective on certain things that you might be missing.
Just real quick, is Jeff from Amplify, is he does he have speaker rights?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
I have like a front end issue. Like I have none of the speakers are like actual speakers in my like I just want Jeff to say what's up because Leaf, we're not Conan O'Brien. We're not big shots when it comes to hosting talks, and we can't keep people waiting, for 38 minutes without even saying hi. So I just want to kick it off to Jeff because he's
I
been with us
tried
from
to
the
say
beginning.
hello. I tried to say hello, and he was being
Gotta
very very
gotta
polite.
try
So
harder, buddy.
yeah, Jeff, say what's up, man.
Yo, what's up? What's up? Listen, don't worry. I'm happy sitting here listening to everyone talk. It's been interesting. So yeah, don't worry about me. I'm having a great time. It's what's it now? 20 to 5 on Friday, so all chill.
But
Yo,
you got to have some thoughts. You've also you're building a DApp, right? You're part of our DApp cabal, where
For
we
sure.
think DApps are the way to go.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Like if you look at DeFi Llama, there's what like over 200 and something chains. Like we don't need another chain. Like there's just no need. You know, just in a different language, different programming language. It's like whatever, man.
Yeah,
And then
we're
layer
doing a great
threes.
job fragmenting this space when it comes to interoperability over the last few years.
Oh, like you mean it just yeah, way to make my life more difficult for what we're trying to build. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh,
well,
100%.
if everyone didn't know, I mean, Amplify is also implementing some type of AI additives to to their program as well. So yeah, if anyone wasn't on the community call last 2 weeks ago, Jeff, do you want to just give a brief overview again? It's just I think everyone it'll be good to have this on a recording so people can go back to it.
Yeah, sure, sure. I'll give just a very high level overview. So we're AI powered cross chain asset management protocol. Easiest way to think about this is like a decentralized, non-custodial version of what like Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager do or did. Now they're all bankrupt. So we saw a massive issue. People were using those particular yield generating platforms that were very centralized. If we look at centralized entities versus decentralized protocols, there was way higher adoption and TVL from centralized entities versus DeFi alternatives. Why is that? DeFi is very complex to get your head around, right? And DeFi is not without its own faults, right? It's nearly $7 billion lost since 2021. So there's a lot of issues in the space in general. But what we look to do is we look to bridge that gap between basically the CeFi sort of user experience, right? So, there's 500 million people globally, or over 500 million, who have bought cryptocurrencies, yet 6 to 7 million use DeFi. Why is the gap so large? Well, it's because people have to manage their wallets with multiple networks, multiple gas fees. They have to know which protocols are safe to use. When they optimize yields from one asset on a chain to another, they have to be familiar with dexes. If they want to bridge it from Polygon to Arbitrum, there's no direct bridge, so they either have to send it to a centralized exchange and then back again, or else they have to bridge to ETH and then bridge from ETH across, and it's just an absolute mess, right? It's a massive mess. It costs lots of money, lots of chances of things to go wrong. And so what we do is we simplify that whole entire experience. So we have a sort of Web 2.5 user experience. So we have embedded wallet technology where users, set up an account in the wallet like you would in Coinbase, but they own basically the wallet. It's non-custodial, so they have the private keys. They deposit their assets into one of our pools. It's a singular strategy that incorporates all the protocols and all the chains in it. And then our AI model basically monitors APYs on chain and auto distributes and auto rebalances those assets to generate higher, more stable, and lower risk APYs for users. So essentially, users get to earn in DeFi and in RWA. Will be expanding to the RWA ecosystem as well, without having to know any prior knowledge or understand, anything about gas or networks or dexes or bridging or anything like that. And so you end up in a situation where it's a very simplified user experience to access DeFi yields, but with the decentralization aspect still intact.
Can I just say that I can always tell, like, first of all, I love how that sounds, but on a totally unserious note, I can always tell when a founder is actively like raising, you're in the process of raising, because you sound like you could do this shit, you could say this shit in your sleep. Like even I bet you have the intonation
Yeah.
on specific words. It's exactly the same. I know because I was the same way when I was raising for AngelBlock, and it's just like like you could be running on 2 hours of sleep in a week, and you'd still say it exactly the same way, and I love it.
Yeah, it's embedded all right. Especially when you go to events like Token 2049. Listen, it's great going to the events, it's great fun. But when you talk and you know yourself, like when you repeat yourself like 30 or 40 times in a day, you're like, oh, for the love of God, please.
Oh yeah,
How
oh
can
yeah.
I how can I add to this, or like am I talking too much? Like, do people actually understand me? Yeah, it's a tough one. But
I,
Yeah.
I
what's
shouldn't
nice is
I
what,
shouldn't be
yeah.
saying this because like it was me at my lowest, but I remember being at what's the Masari conference called? Mainnet in 2021. And I was just like running on zero sleep. I was feeling just horrible. I pitched like 40 different, people in the span of like the last 4 hours. And I remember I met a friend of a friend who wasn't in crypto, just like outside of the building. And he was like a very nice guy, but he didn't work in crypto. He was doing something totally different. And he was like full of energy and just like, oh, and by the way, what do you do? I'm like, bro, it's like I just gave him like one sentence, like I'm sorry, like like you seem like a nice guy, but like I just know we're not gonna do anything together because we're in different sectors, and I'm about to pass out because I just couldn't do it anymore. So I know the pain.
Understandable. I
It's
think
just
you have
really
to go
funny.
through that
Yeah.
pain to sort of like extract. It sounds bad, but to like know what is going to be a meaningful conversation and what isn't, right?
Oh yeah,
And yeah, it's because you don't want to be rude, and you never know, right? Especially with us, we can partner with so many people, which is a great ethos of Web3 as well. But just after a while, you sort of just have to go, okay, like I've got limited battery left and limited capacity to pitch basically, or to talk about what we're doing.
well, to do
Who
anything, honestly, like not to get too meta here, but like you have limited resources everywhere you turn, and it's like, what are you focusing on, right? Like, are you focusing on something that has like can be potentially a high conversion rate? And like we're talking dApps here, we're talking things of this nature, and like we face this with AngelBlock. Like, we have different products, different features we want to implement, and it kind of comes down to like, okay, limited resources, limited time, what's the killer feature that increases conversion, right? And like all like me AI, I I haven't sat in on your internal meetings, but I'm 100% certain that you guys operate the same way. Like we're all in the same boat, and it's tough because sometimes you have to be a dick. But at the end of the day, it's about surviving, and it's about creating a successful product or service, right? Like there's
I
nothing else
yeah.
to really go about.
Yeah,
I think what's very interesting is that like you figure this out probably too late once you're in funding, but saying no is actually a life skill, like being able to say no. So like I think someone told me about this when like between like the like teenage years and like your 20s, you say yes to everything because you don't want to miss out, but like when you turn like when you gain experience, like saying no is such a good life skill. And I think that's something that people need to realize. You have a finite amount of time that you need to package in different meetings, and they need to be of value. Otherwise, you just need to trim the fat, And it's with everything. Like even in a company, you need to trim the fat to in order to survive the long term.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Manage. I think everyone in sort of Web3 is kind of guilty of not managing their life battery, shall we say, rather than social battery, because you know yourself, like when things start to take off, everything goes out the window when the market's sort of red hot. And to be fair, though, I think it's even the same in the bear market. I was thinking, can't wait for the bear market, going to get a bit of downtime. Nah, man, exactly the same. So, yeah, I think the global aspect of it is like one of the best parts of it, but I think it's also one of the parts that just keep you going all the time, right? You could be speaking with somebody in Australia or Bali, and you could be speaking to somebody else on the west coast of the US in the exact same day. And yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I know that we spoke about this on the previous call, but you guys are going to Token 2049. Will it just be yourself, or is the team going? And oh yeah, I didn't ask David. David, are you guys going to any conferences
ETH
soon?
Warsaw,
That's some of the people.
David?
Yeah.
There is ETH Warsaw, which is happening on 5th, I think, September.
Yes.
However, it could be pretty tricky for us because now we are also launching our NFT collection Telegram mini app, so we need to focus on that. I'm not sure if we're going to have some extra time. Maybe we're not going to sleep, then we can reach it. But we're actually planning to go later on. I think in autumn there was something in Singapore happening. We had some info about that. And there would be also like a November edition of event in Dubai. We usually go. So most probably those
Nice.
ones.
Nice. If you end up going to ETH Warsaw, I'll be there. So definitely drop me a line if you'll make it there.
Okay, cool. You're gonna be there on starting from 5th?
Yeah. I'll be there.
Okay. I'll see how it goes. Maybe we can do that.
Absolutely. Be good to meet.
Jeff, you guys are going to Token 2049, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So it's myself and our CTO are going. We've got some like friends of ours who are also in the space who are heading over from Manchester here in the UK. So there's a crew of us, but yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait. They're from Tuesday till the following Monday.
Okay, Jeff, if you
Nice.
mess up this next question, you're gonna mess up your raise. But for everybody here that's listening, this is the real defining factor whether a founder has that dog in him. And you got to be honest, Jeff. I'll know if you're lying. Are you flying coach or are you flying business?
Oh, absolutely, coach, man.
There
Absolutely,
we go.
coach. This is
He's
this is
got
so
that dog
funny.
in him.
Because I was working also like just helping out with a growth company. I have a growth background, especially in Web3 for the last 4 years, and I have a dude who basically so I would be sort of building the growth strategies for these companies, consulting with them, and I have a dude who sort of works alongside me, but he'd be sort of executing, so he'd be a junior. And he was flying back from Bali to the UK to Leeds basically, and he was flying business, and I was like, man, I was like, this dude is like, this dude's like my junior, and he's like, he's like cruising around, sipping on champagne and business, and like everywhere I go, I'm coached. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm 13-hour flight from London to Singapore because like it was one of the cheaper options like out there. Like everything I do is just like, yeah, like small bits. Do you know what I mean? Just like trying to save as
Oh
much
yeah.
as possible. Even get a scooter in Dubai rather than a taxi if it's like close by. I was like, I'll just get a scooter, man.
That's
Which
actually a
also is
really good
great.
idea because of that
Yeah,
traffic. That traffic
it
is
was
insane.
so good, to be fair. It actually worked out much better. Everyone was like waiting around for taxis. I was like, "See you later, guys. I'm getting a scooter."
That's a 300 IQ play, I gotta admit. But good answer, and I can tell that you're
Jeff
sincere.
Jeff's gonna raw dog it all the way to Singapore.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this. I was like, even if, like, let's say, for example, 5 years from now, I don't know, like the protocol takes off, we're doing extremely well, like, we're on big salaries. I still don't know if I could just splash money on just stupid shit. Do you know what I mean? but I don't know.
That's what happens when you haven't flown long distances every 5 minutes. I think Alex knows about this too much. Like Alex got to a point where he actually couldn't fly in economy anymore because
But
it
to
was
be
just too
fair,
hard.
I paid for all my own tickets with my own money.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm saying that
But that's
it's tough
because of my
because
back. Yeah, I have a bulging disc.
yeah.
So for me, we're gonna get back to amplifying me AI, but since this topic was moved, I'm gonna spill the beans. Um, for me, it came down to if a flight is like close to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. So it's like, do I want to spend money and be able to walk when I get off the flight? Or not spend money, save some money, and not be able to walk for a week because I get like sciatica and shit, and it's really bad. But yeah, but I did pay for. Company was doing well because I paid for all my own tickets.
I think yeah, this was before we even got into majority of the funding. But yeah, Alex is he's he's always been one to put the company first.
I'm doing a 13-hour flight from London direct to Singapore, so that'll be fun.
Do you know what Leith mentioned? Like the raw dogging thing. Like, do you
Yeah,
know
I'm
what
not.
that trend?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
that's
not
just
doing that.
ridiculous to me.
That's nuts. That's stupid. That's like there's no point in that. Like there's absolutely no point. It's already painful enough having to sit down for 13 hours straight without staring at like where you're going on a map. It's like nah, man. Stick on the movies.
Yeah,
At least get
I would open
some
the
enjoyment.
emergency door. Like I would become very suicidal, I believe. That's not for me. Like a
Yeah.
flight for me is like cool. Let me like catch up on a show or read something and do stuff that I don't have time for in my day to day life. David,
Unnecessary suffering.
are you raw dogging any flights? Or how does that look like for you? Are you flying a lot now? Because you're raising, you're
Oh
bull raising. Like, are you
yes.
flying like
Oh,
a ton now?
guys, you know the business. It's crazy. You need to move all the time. So basically, I just came back from Dubai, which was like 2 days ago. Now I'm for a short bit in Poland, and I need to go there again, and then to Singapore. Yeah, so I'm flying all the time, like you guys. I've been to Bali for 2 years as well. Love those scooters, there, guys. Come on, like for $6, you can get it for 1 day, and you can just bypass whole traffic. Same in Thailand. So those are the cool options. And I agree with you guys that basically, yeah, if you are the owner of the project, you see that you want to fly as cheap as possible because you fly so goddamn much. So basically, you can use this money for anything better than just like a business class. Come on. And I also mostly enjoy scooter rides. They give you the freedom, you can chill, and even if you fly a lot in a plane, you have this disconnection because come on, that the space you're bombarded from Telegram, Discord all the time, bam, 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 boom, boom, AMAs and stuff, and then just in the plane, you have like an excuse, guys. I'm out for 12 hours. Catch me tomorrow. Thank you.
That is a good point.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it's funny though. Like it's crypto companies don't operate a lot the same as traditional companies because traditional companies fly everyone out with business class.
Yeah,
Hence the reason why it's called business class
it was
because
the
they can
cutoff
do tax
where I
deductions.
worked. The cutoff was 5 hours. That was like the
Yes,
determining factor, the threshold, whether it's a business class flight or not. In a company I worked in like years and years ago.
for sure. Yeah, I think because a lot of the crypto companies are set up in different regions where the tax deductions don't make sense. So it's purely I think that's purely the reason. And a lot of the time, crypto companies, especially at the early stage, haven't raised enough to see if the project is successful or still needing to kind of build. So it's just pure logic if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what else. I think Jeff, we can dive into your guys' roadmap as well. Like you guys are planning obviously to go to Singapore, and obviously planning to get the you've done a lot of rebranding. What are the next steps for you guys in terms of the project?
And
Yeah.
Mia is
So
getting that question next, so you can prepare, David. You know what we're asking you with a heads up.
So yeah, I get sprung, put in the hot seat, but that's all good. It's all good. Like Alex said, I'm ready. So yeah, so basically, open beta live on Monday. That's very exciting. We've finished the closed beta, so obviously full working protocol before we launch. We're doing the audits as we speak. Should be ready in probably around 2 weeks. So we'll basically push it public aggressively public with the audit report once everything's sort of said and done and safe to do so. And then we're already in the process of building out beta 2. Beta 2 is the interoperability multi-chain aspect of it. So we're also integrating with Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base. We've pretty much spoken to every single L2 out there and a number of L1s as well. So we've got we're just basically mapping all of that out. Beta 2.5 then is our referral and rewards and leaderboard program, where we sort of tie in everything to the Telegram mini app that we're building. That's basically just to turbocharge the overall engagement. And then also we'll have an option for people to also add liquidity through the app as well, which will sort of gamify and add it to the overall airdrop. And then we'll have beta 3, which is multi-protocol integration. That will all be done prior to TGE. And then probably towards the end of Q4, Q1, we're looking to integrate then across RWA protocols. So we'll be earning between DeFi and RWA. And then pretty much in Q2 or Q3, we'll start the earn on fiat capability. So really our overall goal is to, as you guys were talking about before, is to have a simple sort of mobile interface. Think of it like a Revolut or a Monzo style mobile app where users can deposit fiat and they can start earning in DeFi and RWA. And basically, we're building out the layers that will allow people to do that. So we build out the sort of the web app, and then we'll also build out an API which will allow institutions, so like crypto-based institutions, to earn through our sort of protocol. And then like the earn on fiat will have an auto convert feature into stable coins, which will then distribute across different protocols as well. The idea is there people can access liquidity almost instantly as well. So we'll start building it out in Q2 or Q3 of next year. And then, yeah, so that's sort of a high level overview of where we're going.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think MEAI. I mean, David touched on obviously their roadmap and everything like that. But I think as far as I'm aware, they're planning TGE in October, which is really exciting. And there's a whole bunch of cool things. I think the next steps for everyone on the call and everyone that's going to be listening to this recording is to go look at the dashboard. That's been put up for MEAI and an article that we've written. That should give you as much information as you need. And then obviously we've got David in the AngelBlock chat as well. And I ask you guys to go look at the MEAI social media, follow them and join their Telegram and everything. And if you have any questions, the team is really responsive. As well as Amplify. Amplify is going to be our next raise, which is really awesome. We're looking forward to doing that, Jeff, and that dashboard will be up very soon. And yeah, if anyone wants to learn any more about Amplify, you can go follow them on Twitter or X and look at all their documents. I think people underestimate how important having a yield generating savings account. The yield generating is actually a very deliberate term, because if you do it in a bank account, you earn 0.5% and you don't really do much. But it on a DeFi protocol that can generate yield of up to 10%, it becomes a weapon to compound interest, and we spoke about this as well. Is compounding interest is obviously the eighth one of the world, So
But the other thing
having
is,
yeah.
Leith, that's super important that I want to highlight, because Jeff himself, he said that, like, yeah, it works like Celsius and stuff like that. And like, obviously, it's like me if I was like, I get the point, but it's like me, it's like, oh, creating a text is going to be like FTX, and it's like, like, you have this shutter moment. But like, I wanted to say why I like Jeff's comparison is because if you look at BlockFi, if you look at Voyager, if you look at Celsius, which all had their issues were to a lack of transparency, right? You do not get
Exactly.
more transparent than having everything on chain. It's what we've been saying for years. Like, we know that there's a bunch of launch pads. It's like, oh, we raised 300K. Cool. Show me the transaction. Because I can type in 300, 400, 500K on my front end as well, but it doesn't mean shit if the startup actually gets that money, right? Make it verifiable, make it transparent, give me the on-chain, give me the transaction hash, goddammit, right? And that's why I think Amplify can make it, right? Because it's that added value of transparency. And just real quick to MEAI, because David was supposed to kind of give us the lowdown on, I know you mentioned some products, David, but just real quick, like, what's the next, 5 to 6 months? What are kind of what are the key metrics? Like what are the users you want to hit? What's coming in hot from you?
Yes, so definitely. I'm just going back to this transparency on blockchain. This is actually cool about Web3. If you're doing something, it's always visible there, so there's no cheating like some Web2 companies can do. All the data is here. When it comes to MEAI, like I said before, we are working pre-TGE, so the launch will be in October with the launch pads and with centralized exchange plus DEX as well. We are starting on the BNB chain, but then we will be integrating more chains as we go. We're also talking to different L2s, which we're going to use in our application, because in the end, we want to have it cross-chain. So right now, we are working on the MVP. That's our primary goal, just to make sure all those technologies match and everything is cool. And in the meantime, we are also working on the NFT collections, because they're going to be integrated part in the application as well. So if you get them earlier, right, like the upcoming one, for instance, also is going to drop you some MEAI. So it's good to have it now. Telegram mini app for the user acquisition. This is very popular, so why not to use it?
What
We are
chain,
aiming.
especially with NFTs? Say what chain, so if people are interested, they know
Yes.
what to prepare.
So guys, that's going to be on the BNB chain, and this is like the pre-launch collection, which will not have function in the application yet, but it's gonna, every single NFT will get you some AI. So if you want to get more, and the biggest prizes are actually allocations are 5,000 worth AI, so it's good to check. You can check it on our Twitter. There is information about it, and the mint will be on the 10th of September. So stay tuned for that.
In a way, so it's almost like a coupon or something, right? Like I'm buying the
Yes,
NFT, but I'm not just buying an NFT and then, in 2 months you're like, well, you have this amazing profile picture or whatever, and you should be happy with it. But like it's like a coupon that I'm buying the
that's
NFT and
true.
then I'm getting additional tokens later.
Yes, exactly. You're gonna get
Got it.
the additional tokens later. Every single NFT will get it. Plus, you're gonna have a cool picture as well, which will be then used in the application as well at the later stages. So feel free to get it once it's there, starting from 10, like I said. On top of that, like I said, Telegram mini app, because for the user acquisition, we are aiming to get pretty soon like additional 100, 200,000 users. And it's going to be pretty seamless experience for us later on, because once we gather all those users in one app, we can transit them to another, the main application, the MVP, which will be released most probably early next year. And then for the next 6 months, we will be working on additional modules. So the Me Explore, Me Social, and Me Growth. All of that, we want to have like all the features in one app. Hopefully, it's going to be good timing now. So that's the closest future for us.
Beautiful. Very well. Again, another founder that I can tell is actively pitching.
All the time.
Nice. It's good, like it's I like a nice pitch. Leith, what else you got for us? We're wrapping up soon. What's up, my man?
Yeah, we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. Actually, I wanted to just dive into one more question from Jeff, and he kind of alluded to it when he was talking about what chains they're looking to integrate. Jeff, what has your research been on layer twos and the user base, and compared to things other layer ones? Like, how do you think that's changed, especially the Ethereum layer twos, obviously? How do you think there's been like almost user extraction or user fragmentation from like the layer ones to the layer twos, and is that why you've decided on those layer twos?
So the biggest consideration for us, the fact that we sort of look to generate yields within DeFi is the pool depths, right? So the amount of TVL that each DeFi protocol has. That's very important. So the reason why we chose, initially the reason why we chose Polygon was because when we started building in 2023, it was the cheapest gas. And then since the Denkin upgrade came along, obviously all the L2s have been much cheaper. So Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base, after speaking to all the different layer twos, they seemed, we all know that they're sort of like the three of the biggest. They also have sort of the biggest ecosystems. Base is doing some pretty cool things, obviously trying to bring, Web3 more sort of public facing through, the various channels that they have. But ultimately, we're mostly looking from a liquidity perspective. We're also looking at, obviously, EVM, and then we're looking at, basically the interoperability piece around that as well. So how easy is it for us to use various interoperability protocols to move assets across different chains? And so again, that was a consideration. And then we look at the adoption of those layer twos within certain protocols. So if we look at Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Base, they're all on Aave v3, right? So that's an easy integration. If we look at Blast, for example, which is also a consideration, they have a lot of native dApps, right? So they don't work with the likes of Compound and Aave and whatever else, which is cool. They have their own little ecosystem. And so there's a lot of things that we decide when sort of discussing where to go next. Now, we've also spoken with the likes of ZK Sync, Scroll, Linea, Metis, Mantle, like you name it. And they're all like, to some degree, a lot of those are still on our roadmap, but they're just not where we need them to be right now in order to integrate with them, right? But yeah, they're all on the agenda essentially. But for us, like I said, the EVM ecosystem as a whole is like the main one we're focused on because it's where the most liquidity is. But at some point, you know, our next, I suppose this is a bit of alpha as well, I guess, but the next sort of area we want to go after stablecoin yields, which is what we're focused on primarily, is actually Bitcoin. And the reason I was asked earlier on, are you going to do ETH? I said, no, ETH's been beaten to death, right? You got staking, you got liquid staking, you got restaking, you got, you know, so many people trying to like get a piece of the pie of ETH. Bitcoin, the ecosystem is actually starting to come into fruition a little bit, and we're starting to look at how we can generate yields with Bitcoin, native Bitcoin as well. So we're looking at into that primarily as probably a secondary option. But yeah, it's an ongoing process really. And I was going to say as well, David, if you're looking for intros into any layer twos that you're not already speaking to, feel free to ping me because we've spoken to pretty much all of them. So I'd be happy to.
Oh, sure, that's cool. That would be beneficial. We were obviously talking to many, but it's always better to have more options on the table. Come on, it's it's like a hugely spreaded area, and it's best to pick the best ones, of course.
I think this is a happy moment for Alex, knowing that that the people that we are going to be raising with can work together.
I mean, yeah, I think it's part of what we want to leverage this more in the future. Like we've already started, but like I think I don't want to make AngelBlock or like our decision making that it's like some goddamn like highly recognizable seal of approval. But I think we have a pretty cool track record, and at the very least, I would like to think that we have a pretty good bullshit detector, you know. And at the end of the day, I think that the people that we do end up working with, like, they're not trying to bullshit us, and they're not trying to bullshit our users or their own users. If someone's been like really like following everything that's been going on with us this year, like, that there were some startups that like we were supposed to work with that ended up working with, and that's where the bullshit kind of meter comes into play. So I would love it if cool people doing cool things can do cool stuff together. Like that's I love that. I got nothing to add there. It's just I'm a big fan of cool shit happening. That's it. I know that was very eloquent and poignant for me. I know.
We got
a great way to wrap it up.
We actually got one question. We got one question from the community. Okay, they have a question for Amplify and Me AI. What drew you to wanting to work with AngelBlock? That's the question.
I can jump in first. So just as Alex said, right, any launch pad can say that they raise $500,000, 300K, but how much does the protocol actually get? And this is the thing. Usually it's actually very little. And a lot of the time they say they raise a huge amount, and it's just such a horrendous experience, especially with this. Listen, I get the whole refund thing, right? I get the idea behind it, but ultimately it's deceptive, right? Because people will raise, and then they'll, like, the whole point of getting in at such an early stage is that you take a slight risk with it as well. It's not always going to work out. Don't put in more than that you're willing to lose. Do your own due diligence with the project. Make sure you're happy with your investment, right? But it's destroying the reputation of launchpads, and it's destroying the actual funds that startups need in order to survive and to build out the products that they want. Now, I know, back in 21 in particular, people were raising millions off a white paper and then going and spending it all on business class flights and fast cars, right? Very bad for the space in general. But overall, AngelBlock has been just speaking to you, Leith, repeatedly, like just your whole setup, the way that you do things, I think is extremely fair. I think, it's absolutely, 100% the project has to hit certain milestones in order to show they're making progress. But at the same time, it's a very fair system whereby the projects are able to get the funds if they meet certain criteria. And it's just very transparent, and you guys are just very good at what you do. So for me, it was like a no-brainer. And like the day that you guys can start doing $1 million rounds is a great day for the space.
So like Jeff said most of it actually already. I would agree with most of the points. On top of that, I really like your approach, how you actually talk things with potential partners, because responsiveness in crypto is not always a thing. I learned it the hard way that sometimes you have really big issues for like a fluent conversation, setting up the meetings, everything like that. But here it is done very nicely. Everything is done to the point. When you say something is done on that date, it's done. So I really like that kind of consistency because it shows professionalism, which is sometimes lacking in this space, unfortunately, still. So that's actually another thing I would add on top of that. Nice community I saw, active previous raises, very successful. So overall, everything looks really cool, and I really like working with you guys.
You guys are
I
sweethearts.
will
Really
say as
appreciate
well.
that. That's
I
amazing to
will
hear.
say
Really
just
appreciate
quickly
it.
before Alex finishes off is that
No, you go ahead.
Amplify and Mia have been the fastest responding projects we've worked with, which is really nice to see.
Yeah. Well, listen, like I said, when you meet good people, you always want to, work with them and work closely with them, and that's for everything, not just like launch pads, marketing, like everything. So I've been in the space investor since 2017, working in the space full time since 2020. Like you meet so many bad people, bad actors, people who just try and scam you, people who just can't do what they say they'll do. So when you meet somebody who is who puts their money where their mouth is, for want of a better term, I'm all for it, and I'm happy to give those people as much time as possible.
And it's also like a mutual respect, because if we are doing business, it's like a form of business. So let's behave professionally, right? I know that some people would say, yeah, this is crypto. No. It's a business. It's in a different space. Let's keep it professional and let's make it beneficial for everybody.
100%. However, because I have to have a however, don't wear suits at crypto events. When I was founding AngelBlock, I had one rule, and I said no suits. Before we had a product, before we raised, I told everyone no suits. That's how you know that they're feds or they're trying to sell you. They're like a Deloitte representative trying to, he's only there because his boss sent him because he heard of crypto or he heard of blockchain and, maybe scope that thing out. But I agree. But I think it's a fine balance. Like crypto, it kind of dissolves a lot of borders. Like, we're all in different parts of the world, and there's this global flow of money into individual smart contracts that unify protocols or end users in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's cool to embrace it. I definitely agree with you that, like, yeah, a lot of problems have been that people haven't treated what they do as a business, because it is a business, and especially if you have a token, it's also like there's people that believe in you, like you have to live up to some kind of standard, and I think that's very important. But on the other hand, also don't have a stick up your ass, right? And I think it's a fine balance, and I think those are the kinds
Yeah.
of people that I like working with the most. Because if you're trying, if you like raised, I'm not saying you guys, it's a like a royal you, like a hypothetical you, like if you raised, like 15K over the last 6 months, and you're like, you're just like super professional, and you take a briefcase everywhere you go, like, bro, you're not at that level, like chill out. Zuck and Bezos, all they wear is t-shirts too. Like you can take it down a notch. So don't take
That
everything too seriously. Have some fun with it, and don't be a dick. Respond to everybody who writes to you.
That's cool. That's nice. I like, especially like even Vitalik sometimes goes on the stage in his pajamas, right? So you need to keep the
Bro,
perfect.
in London, he came in like shorts and leggings because he literally just finished running and he went on stage. All right.
Exactly. Those people don't give a shit, but that's the fine view about it, because you can be very flexible. But still, on the bottom level, like the engine level, you need to stay professional. So everything is going nicely. You are nicely organized, because without proper organization, your project is not going to launch ever. So it's
Yeah, and I think it's about respect as well. That's the thing, like if everyone has mutual respect, then we can work together.
Yeah, that's a that's a commodity that's in very low supply and often low demand in this space.
Oh yeah, I know. And I know that I wanted to put one more point before we close out. Is I remember we went to Zebu Live in London last year, and I wore a suit, and Alex almost had a heart attack.
You know,
And
you wore
what?
an AngelBlock T-shirt and
Yes,
and like a sports jacket. I asked
I
you,
know.
I'm like, bro, like, do you have like a first communion you're going to, a wedding later? Like, what's going on here, bro?
And you know what? It serves me right because remember, I wore new shoes. I wore like dress shoes, and I got blisters from them. So the next day, I wore jeans and my AngelBlock shirt, and that was a whole lot better. So I think we know what we need.
Yeah, you weren't there when I was making that rule. You joined a bit later. That's true. So you're forgiven. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for joining. David, Jeff, thank you so much. I know you guys are super, super busy, so just taking an hour, like it is asking a lot, but I really do appreciate it. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I really do like this format. I think it's cool. We talk macro, we talk what's going on with us. We get to deep dive into really cool projects we'll be working with in the future. I think it's just a lot more fun for everybody rather than just focusing on very singular topics. So Leaf, you want to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, of course. Like Alex said, thanks to Jeff and thanks to David for joining us. It's really good to hear straight from the horse's mouth, as so would say. But what's really interesting is I think the next 2 weeks is quite pivotal. Because I think we'll have me AI and then just before Amplifiers raise, which is really cool. You know, AngelBlock as well. We're working on a bunch of things that I think the community is going to be really happy with. So can't wait to let you guys know about that news. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think this is definitely the time to figure out what the next steps are. You know, especially with the market kind of being in a bit of a doldrum. We want to make sure that the next phase of the market we can capitalize as much as possible, and that is both from obviously the investor side as well as the startup side. So yeah, looking forward to working hard and getting everyone on board.
And pray for October.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's hope.
Come on. Make crypto great again. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's
To
do
the
it.
moon.
Cheers, everyone.
Make
Thank you so much.
MC go.
Yeah. See you guys. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank
Cheers,
you.
guys. Bye.